Okay, dude. So today is Transparency Tuesdays, and I just wanted to come on really quick. Honestly, at first, I didn't really have a topic to really talk about, but then I figured why not be transparent as to why, because that's a topic in and of itself. And the reason why is because I've been feeling cluttered. Um, Resurrection Day had just passed, and that was a lot of family. Last week was a lot of family time for us, going back and forth to Daytona from here. So I mean, that was great. That was wonderful. But the clutter began before then. I've been cluttered maybe for like a month, and I didn't know that I was cluttered, meaning I didn't know I had so much on my mind until yesterday. And I had just been feeling so weighed down and heavy, and I'm like, why am I feeling like this? Like, I just had a wonderful, beautiful day on Resurrection Day. Why am I feeling weighed down? And I began to ask God why. And my room has always been a reflection of my mind in terms of clutter. And that's what God said. He said, look at your room. It's cluttered. Your mind is cluttered. You don't feel that space. You're cluttered. You're bogged down with all these decisions, all these things that I have to think about. I'm bogged down with that. And I was like, okay, you're right. I got to do something about it because I can't continue. So then I began to clean out my room, get rid of some old stuff for me and my son. And then I immediately start to feel better, and I feel better even today. And for me, when I have a lot going on in my mind, whether it's good or bad, and my room starts to reflect that, I need to get a moment. And I know the reason why I began to get cluttered is because I had been so busy and I hadn't had the adequate amount of time that I like to spend with God on a daily basis, because I had been doing other things for other people and all that stuff. And so I wasn't able to have that moment of just me and God. I didn't stop talking to him. I didn't stop praising him, but I didn't have that time where I can just pour out to him. You know what I mean? There's a difference in praying to God and having time to really talk to him. I was praying, but I wasn't pouring out. So I had all this stuff in me, and then it just kept going and going and going, but I didn't pour it out. So I was just filling up, filling up, filling up, and that's how I got cluttered. And I read something on Facebook the other day where it says it's okay to say no. And I'm not saying no in terms of ridiculous things that's going to harm me or anything. I'm talking about like favors and just doing things when I know that I've been stretched too far, and I still don't say no, and so I'm being stretched even further. That's what I'm talking in terms of. And for me, I take obedience and God seriously, because I know that obedience is better than sacrifice. And I want to be abiding with Christ as much as possible. Now, I'm not perfect. I'm never going to say that I'm perfect, and I'm not going to try to portray myself as perfect. That's the whole point of being transparent, so that people can relate and understand, we're in this together. I've been through it. You're going through it. Let me help you out. Things like that. So I don't ever want anyone to think that, but I do take my relationship with God seriously, and I really take obedience seriously. And where was I going with that? So yeah, I want to be abiding with Christ at all times. And so I pray before I make decisions, whether they're major decisions, whether they're small decisions. I want to make sure that I'm being obedient, because it's too easy to let our flesh override what we know is right. It's so easy to override our flesh, to override what God is telling us to do and what he's telling us not to do. And I know when I'm doing something out of my flesh. Like, someone could say something to me crazy, and I snap back, but in my head, I don't say it. But I'm like, if I say it, I know I'll be going with my flesh. But if I just do what God is telling me to do, which is forgive that person for their ignorance and keep it trucking, then that's what I'm going to do. You know when your flesh is rising up to do what it wants to do, and when it's countering what God is having you to do. So I like to be obedient, and I don't like to feel pressured by other people, by their decisions that I know they didn't pray about, that I know they didn't seek God on. I know that they're not considering me. They're just doing it for their own personal gain. And then they try to throw you a bone by saying, oh yeah, you can do this. But it's really for you. And you didn't pray about it. And you didn't ask God. You didn't seek counsel. He didn't tell you this. So I'm really going to take my time and pray about it. And I do that with anything. Especially when anyone is telling you anything. I think that it's important as Christians that, because people are always going to want to speak a word into somebody's life and, things like that. Have your ears open, because you never know who God is going to use to speak to you. However, you take what they're saying and then you take it back to God and you read His word and see if it's aligning with His word and if it's aligning with what He's telling you. Because if it's not, then you need to respond accordingly. And if it is, do the same. Respond according to how God would have you to. But I just think that is important. And for me, I can't make decisions when my mind is cluttered. So that's why I just wanted to come on here and say that I didn't have anything particular. Well, I did, but I wasn't led to really talk about it. So I'm going to wait on that. But I just wanted to tell you guys, we have to make time for God. I mean, life is going to get busy because it's life. Life is not going to stop until God calls you home or until Jesus makes His return. But until then, life is not going to stop. So we have to be okay with saying no. Be okay with whatever labels and judgment people are going to put on you for saying no. We have to be okay with giving ourselves a timeout. I don't even want to say timeout because that sounds negative, but making sure you have that one-on-one time with God daily and it's adequate for you. Okay? For you. Do it for you, not comparing it to what someone else is saying, because we're called to be like Christ. We're not called to be like other Christians. We're not called to be like other people. We're not called to be like whatever and whomever. We're called to be like Christ. So we have a personal relationship with Christ. Take as much time as you need with Him. Do as much as you need with Him. And don't let people tell you, well, you just went to church. Come on, girl, we can go do this. You don't need to. No. I need to sit down and get on my face before God and pour out so that He can pour into me. Because if I'm filled to the rim, it's going to be hard for me to hear what He has to say to me. And it's not saying that He's not going to talk to you, because God speaks. We just don't listen. And if you're filled to the rim with all your own burdens and worries and concerns and trying to take things on your own strength and not giving it to God, 1 Peter 5:7 says, cast your cares on the Lord, for He careth for you. If we're not casting our cares on the Lord and we're just putting them in our little backpack and piling it up, we're not going to be able to hear God, because we're going to be concerned with trying to make it up this mountain on our own strength. But if we just lay it out before God, make ourselves available to hear what He has to say, be looking for Him, seeking Him and what He has to say, then it will be fine. And we got to do that. We can't let life try to run us, okay? We can't let decisions try to run us. We still have to maintain our relationship with Christ, because that is first and foremost. So I just wanted to share that with you all. I'm decluttering my room. I'm decluttering my mind. I am saying no. I am taking care of myself. And that's what I just talked about the other day when I posted something, is making sure that you take care of yourself. It's not always as easy as it may seem to some. It is a task and you have to make it a priority. So yeah, if you love someone, tell them I love you all. Bye.